Welcome back to A Doctor's Perspective mini-sode. Such an honor to be in your ears today. Hey, have you guys gotten into the bubble water trend? I tell you, I got used to it in Germany, came back to America, saw that they had flavored water. I was like, oh yeah, let's try this. I'll tell you what, some of them are hit or miss, but I'm enjoying the fizz. It's like having a Coke, but not. I know, random. Well, listen, if you go to adoctorsperspective.net/all links, you can find all the past top episodes of each year, the series that I've done, like with podiatry, marketing, cash practice, for instance, plus all the books and all the affiliates, products I recommend, services, etc. It's all there. Support the show. Click a link. If you make a purchase, I get a little kickback. The only kickbacks we're allowed, right? Come on now. Listen, today is going to be a juicy episode. Might be a bit longer than usual, but not by much. We're going to discuss from the evidence-based chiropractor. I merged 3 episodes or so into one. We're going to talk about how chiropractic can help people not be on opioids and have less hospitalizations, then transition into the journals that actually recommend us. How powerful is that? Medical journals, big names that recommend us. So when you do these medical doctor visits and trying to get their referrals, you can be like, hey, actually, if you're not, maybe you're the one that's out of the norm. And then some basics on thoracic pain. All right, so let's jump in. And in fact, let's just go over the thoracic pain real quick. That one's easy. 35 to 55% of the people will experience pain. Women are 2.5 times more likely than men to have thoracic pain. And 45% responded well immediately to chiropractic treatment, which is just adjustments on this one. And when they followed up a little bit later, it was still 66% felt great. Now you might say, man, I was expecting more than 45 or 65%. But when you compare it to a surgeon's anticipated results, you're like, oh, okay, we're doing better than that. So for them, 33% will get better. 33% will get worse. 33%, nothing will happen. That's it. A third. That's like, 2 points lower on the VAS scale. And something else they said that really helps is the perceived comfort does increase positive outcomes. So have a clean office. Make sure your chairs are comfortable. Clean them regularly. Have an inviting office. Maybe provide some water, things like that. Just make them comfortable. Apparently it helps. It works. Okay. Small thing, placebo-ish. These are the journals that recommend chiropractic in their paradigm, in their workflow. So they did a study in 2008, systematic review, 2 million Medicare beneficiaries who received chiropractic that they found with chronic non-specific neck pain. Those who got adjusted, it was shown to be effective. And so now, the American College of Physicians, the American Pain Society, the Task Force on Neck Pain and Associated Disorders, and the American Geriatric Society all recommend adjustments for managing neck pain. So let's parlay that into the crux of the first article. 2,700 patients were included, and they were trying to see the frequency at which they filled their prescription opioid medication. 6 months after initial visit, it was significantly higher in the group that started with a primary care physician as opposed to not. All right. So who you start with matters. We've heard that before. If you start with a PT or a chiro, you'll have different results on if you get opioids and surgeries for that matter. And consistently it shows start with not a medical doctor and definitely avoid getting an MRI in a way. Because once they see a disc bulge, all of a sudden, patients will be like, oh, if I got a disc bulge, it's going to help me forever. Or now I definitely need surgery. Or you get the doctor that just sends you for a couple weeks of PT, and then you get the steroid injection that doesn't even work. But we'll talk about that later too. Sidebar. What they found was they had a fewer percentage of hospitalizations, fewer percentages of surgery, fewer percentage of referrals to a specialist when they saw a chiropractor first. They were 50% less likely to be hospitalized, 57% less likely to fill a subscription for an opioid, and 44% less likely to obtain spinal injections. I think that's huge. I'll say it again. 50% less likely to be hospitalized, 57% less likely to fill an opioid prescription, and 44% less likely to get a spinal injection, which again, I'll tell you why that's a good thing to avoid. So if it's spine related, see a chiropractor. And when those journals are recommending us to get those type of results, again, you're coming with a 1-2 punch there. All right, so here's the reasons with the spinal injection. I told you, this is a non-fluff type of podcast, these mini-sodes. Movement-based care like chiropractic is important. Instead of just having just a handful of visits at the physical therapist's office and then go in to get a shot. Shots make a lot of money, and they just have to prove sometimes that they tried something else before they can get paid for that. So let's just try to avoid it. They're not actually FDA approved. It's an off-label. Now, that's not saying whether that's bad or wrong or anything. There's other drugs and other things that are done off-label, but technically speaking, it's not even FDA approved. Over the past 10 years, they have found limited effectiveness of the injections working. And it's kind of like a law of diminishing returns for each subsequent injection. The first one feels good, lasts a while. The second one doesn't last as long. The third one not as much. And sometimes people can have as many as 4 times a year. But really, it doesn't address the underlying cause. Like if you have a bulge encroaching on a nerve, it doesn't take care of that. It just takes care of the swelling and the pain for a little while. And what's interesting, the steroid has been shown to actually stop the healing process in its tracks. And then until your body removes that steroid, it doesn't even actually begin to heal again. That's wild. But here's the other thing. Over time, it actually breaks down the joints and the supporting tissues. Every shot you get a 20% increase in fracture in that area. So when someone's had 10 shots in the same area, you can book it. You probably need to be more careful in that area of the neck or the shoulder or the knee or wherever that was at. So we just got to be careful with it. And like that stat said earlier, 44% less injections if they start with a chiropractor. So we're helping them in lots of different ways. So I really hope you listen to this once or twice, write down some of these stats. You can make it into a pretty little PDF one-pager that you can send to the doctors next time, or just at least for you to know it so you can come loaded with why you should refer to it, not just physical therapy, but also to chiropractic. And remember, at least in my opinion, you're not trying to, quote, convince these doctors to refer to, quote, chiropractic. You want them to refer to you. So I don't care necessarily what the other ones are doing in town, but if you can have a relationship with me, you might think the rest of them are kooky and aren't doing right. But that guy, Justin, that's the one I trust, and that's the one I refer to. That's what I'm looking for, technically. I'd like to make chiropractic nice for the whole profession, but we can't always win. So as long as I can get my patients in that relationship and the people get better and they see the power of that, then that's really helping the community. And then that doctor may talk to other doctors. And then all of a sudden, maybe some other doctors that are your same philosophy and treatment style will also get those referrals. And then now you're really hugely making a difference in your community. Look, that's all I got for you today. Hope it's helpful. Show notes can be found at adoctorsperspective.net/M76.